Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Tailor-Made Real Estate Podcast. I have Caisha Cooper with me today. Caisha, it's great to have you. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just jump right in. So tell us about yourself, not in real estate, but like, where'd you grow up? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born in actually southern Missouri, but moved to Kansas City before I realized I was moving to Kansas City. So around 3 or 4 years old. And I grew up with my father on the south side of Kansas City and went to a couple different high schools, but I've spent the majority of my life here and know really nothing different than KC.
Awesome. So,
Yeah. And then, sorry, go ahead.
No. So live in KC now, love KC, big sports fan here, pretty much raised.
Yeah, it's I know nothing but the Royals and the Chiefs, so I've been on that roller coaster since I can remember of the highs and lows, which I don't think you're a true Kansas City sports fan until you accept them at their best and their worst, which I have.
I'm right there with you. Growing up, both of them were like so bad that I never thought in my lifetime I would see a World Series or a Super Bowl, and we've seen them both. So
I know, it's great. I remember when I could sit on the first baseline at the Royals game for like $5, yep. And then that shot up, and then same with the Chiefs. It's crazy, but I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I remember, my dad and I would just be like, "Oh, the game starts in 30 minutes. You want to go?" And you walk right up, and so
$5 out of 60.
Absolutely. So, so tell us about a little bit how you got into real estate, why you chose real estate, and what's that looks like for you so far.
Yeah, so I'm a single mom to my son Ryder. He's going to be 8 this year, and I was working honestly like 3 jobs, 4 jobs sometimes at a time. I was also going to school, but I was truthfully just not finding my passion in anything. I actually got very frustrated in college because I was like, I'm not sure why I need to know George Washington's blood type for my nursing degree, but I guess I'll pay to do so. So I was just really stuck. Like I said, I was bartending, I was working retail, I was even cleaning like horse stalls and giving horseback riding lessons just to pay the bills. And I wanted freedom. Real estate kind of came across my mind because of the entrepreneurship. I was really ready to get out of the industry of the restaurant and the late nights bartending. So I don't want to say I didn't take it seriously when I got my real estate license, but I was like, I want a professional license in something as I figure out what I want to do, because I knew I wanted to be a businesswoman and a professional. So I thought it was a good starting point. And I think just like anyone that gets into the real estate market, they really have no idea what it actually is until they get in.
Yep.
And it's extremely hard, and it's a lot more than, what they present on the shows, which I get a lot of that now. People are like, oh, I watch Selling Sunset, so I want to be a realtor. And I'm like, deep breath. I love that show too, but there's so much to this career that's beyond taking the test and showing people homes. Right. So I got in at the end of 2017. I was still doing some school and working some jobs. And then it was really 2018 was my first year in sales. And then 2020 was my first full-time year in the industry. And from there, it just really skyrocketed. And I'm with the Austin Home Team. We're one of the top teams in the industry. And meeting them, joining the team was the best thing that could have ever happened to my personal life and my career. So it's been great from then. And I just, dropped everything else. I decided I'm going to do this full time. I'm going to be all in. And there's been nothing but benefit since.
Awesome. What a time to jump full in, right? 2020. That's roller coaster of a year, huh?
Oh man, it really was. And, I'm happy that I did join. When I joined in 2017, there was only one person I knew who was a real estate agent in Kansas City. And I reached out to her because that was all I knew. And, I did get an experience of some sales and helping a lot of people between 2018 and 2020. So by the time 2020 hit, I did have enough experience to really be on top of that roller coaster ride that it created. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, it was ironic because I was like, all right, I'm not going to do bartending anymore. No more side jobs. I'm going to be all in, no plan B. And then the world shuts down. And I was like, of course,
Right,
but it ended
right.
up the greatest thing for the industry at the time. So
Awesome. So what, tell me like a little bit about your team. Like, did you join that in 2020? Did that help you, become full-time? What do you like about that? Tell me a little bit more about that.
yeah, so joining the Austin home team, I just wasn't feeling confident as an individual agent. I am a team player. I like to be around people. I like the support, and I like to give support. So it was hard because I wanted to make sure it was the right fit. And I was also at a hard time in my life. I was figuring out life as, a single mom and trying to make myself in this world with little to no resources. Like I said, I come from a single dad and we were very lower class. So I knew nothing about business, finances, any of that. And I knew that having support was the best way to build myself in this business. And I met Chris Austin because he was in my office.
Okay.
And he became my mentor within my office, and he was a fantastic person. And he saw a light in me that I don't think I really saw in myself at that time. And so I started just kind of following his lead. And then we decided that me joining his team may be a good fit. And we really sat on it for a few months because being at the place in my life that I was at, I didn't want to tarnish our relationship. And I wanted to make sure that, I was going to be nothing but a benefit to the team because I saw what they were doing and I knew their reputation and it was nothing but incredible. So yeah, I think the team was amazing. The real estate industry is hard. There's really great people, but then there's also people that don't always match your ethics and your logics and your mindset. And so I make sure I also studied them long enough, and they're incredible people. They run an incredible business, being a referral based team and selling nearly 200 homes a year, with about 90% of that business coming from past clients or referrals, speaks more than anything else ever could.
Yeah, those numbers are amazing. So congrats on that. That's really cool. So, so when it comes to your clients and specifically your buyers, what's the biggest challenge they face in this market right now? And I'm sure you're going to say, well, the lack of inventory. So, so how do you help, if that is the biggest challenge, how do you help them overcome that? Or how do you guys create a plan to overcome that to win deals?
Yeah, so it's all strategy and it's all coming up with a game plan, and every client is going to be different. So you're right. The lack of inventory is the hardest thing right now. You have this much inventory and this big of a buying pool nationwide, honestly.
Right.
So it's really figuring out each client's unique situation. And okay, if you want to sell your house, what's the next step? Where are you going to go? And what is your game plan after that? And if they don't have a game plan, it's then establishing a game plan. And you really have to be creative. And that's one of the unique things about this market is, anyone can write up an offer and submit a contract and get someone under contract. But in this day and time, you have to be creative and you have to think outside of the box. And that's part of what having a team becomes very beneficial, because we get to put our brains together and we see things that work differently, whether it's, we're on the list side and we have a buyer come in bringing an offer with a unique scenario. You sometimes learn from other people in the industry, so then you can apply that to your buyer in the next situation, or same on the other side. So it's tough. Having a game plan, talking out loud and giving your clients options is key, because a lot of times they don't really know what they're getting themselves into or what to expect until they sit down. And that becomes tricky, because I'm not going to lie, I never thought I'd see the day in my career where I was like, okay, in order to get this home, you have to offer 25% over and waive this, that, and the other.
Right.
And sometimes it takes them seeing that, personally or upfront before they really realize like, okay, this is what they're saying. They're not just trying to get us to do something crazy to get the job done. So it's strategy, game plan, and creativity.
Awesome. Yeah, it definitely helps working with like not only a team, but working with a lending partner that can be creative as well, come up with creative ideas. I know that helps. And yeah, and then going back to like, them kind of experiencing, seeing other people offer way more. You and I do this every day, all day, every day, right? We see it, but our clients, this may be the first time in 5 to 30 years that they've purchased or sold a house. So yeah, or ever, right? And so, explaining is one thing and doing is another. So I totally get that. You can have the greatest plan in the world, but then you got to execute it. So yeah, I love that. All right. So what are some of like the biggest misconceptions your borrowers have or your buyers have whenever they come to you, like specifically like a first-time home buyer? They're coming to you and they're like, hey, I want to buy a house, but my credit's not 750. What's the biggest thing you're seeing?
I think the challenge with that is there's YouTube, there's TikTok, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, and there's whoever throwing information out. So a lot
Right.
of times, a lot of misinformation, and they truthfully don't understand. Every buyer is going to have a unique situation. You might have, a 600 credit score, but you might have this much in savings and your debt to income could be less. You could have an 800 credit score, but you have absolutely no money in the bank. So I like to stay in my lane when it comes to that, of educating you on what it will look like. But ultimately, it is my best interest to send you to your best interest, which is going to be a lender, to talk about the finances. But I think with buyers, it's really setting their expectation, especially in this market, because if you want a $300,000 home, you need to start looking at 215 to 250 in order to compete in this market. And then, do you have money saved up for an appraisal waiver? Do you have money saved up for extra down payment? Do you have 3 to 5% extra in your pocket if you don't have the right to ask for repairs or negotiations after the inspection period? So it's, whether you're FHA, VA, conventional, whatever the case is, that doesn't matter to me. It's what is your game plan financially, because your loan does so much in this market. It's what you have in hand for all the scenarios that you have to go up against.
Right. No, that's great. So what can people do to plan or to prepare to avoid those challenges, so that way maybe they're a little bit more prepared when they do call you?
Yeah. So I think that your first step is always going to be talking to a professional, because like you said, sometimes with people who did buy a home 10, 20, 30 years ago, they're looking at us like we're absolutely insane back in the day where, you had a house, you wanted to buy it, and then you would offer $20,000 under, because that's what the market was in a certain day and time. But with new home buyers, this is all they know. So they don't remember those times. Sometimes they hear it from people older than them that bought at that time. But being prepared is talking to a professional, both a lender and a realtor, to be educated. And that is the biggest thing, is just being educated. And I'm not saying that there are many great resources online, but sometimes you don't know who those people are. And sometimes people base their qualification off of the number of likes they have or their following. And maybe their following is because they're really funny or because they have good graphics, and not because they're qualified to give this advice. And that's not everyone. There are great advisors out there online, but finding someone you trust, talking to them, asking them what they need to expect in this market and what they need to be prepared for. And avoiding it is tough, because there's a lot of things you can't avoid in this market. And that also comes with an honest conversation of, this market just might not be for you. And that's okay.
Sure.
But the biggest thing is education, talking to someone you trust, talking to a true professional, so that way you can start strategizing a game plan, whether that's having 10 or 20,000 extra dollars in your bank account to go against these odds and against these challenges. Or sometimes it's, waiting until your credit's higher, or waiting until you have more finances, waiting until you pay off that car. And that's just a conversation.
Awesome. Yeah. And one thing I always hear is make sure you're talking with local people,
Yes.
because Kansas City's market is completely different than every other market. And there's even pockets of Kansas City that can be
Yep.
different, right?
Oh,
So,
sure.
talking with people that are local and that know this market is also huge, because you can go online and they could be from California and they really don't know what's going on in KC.
Right. Yeah, it's completely different. I think nationwide we're seeing a crazy market, but you're right. Even in different parts of Kansas City, everything from what offers are looking like to home values to taxes, that all plays a huge part in every scenario. So it is important to talk to someone local who knows each area and what that's going to look like for you as a buyer or a seller.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So what's one, like, your best story or like a life-changing client or experience that you've had with a client that
Oh,
you just like sticks out to you?
how do I choose? I don't know. I think, yeah, that's so hard. I have so many. I think one is that really sticks out to me is one of my friends from high school instilled a lot of trust into me with buying his first home when I was still pretty new in the business. And since then, he has referred me his entire family. I mean, I'm talking parents, grandparents, cousins, friends, like incredible, incredible person who's blessed my life.
Yeah.
And he referred me his aunt and uncle who had been living in the same home in South Kansas City, and it was a smaller home. I remember, I don't even think that they had even like a proper shower. He's a pastor. She was a stay-at-home mom her whole life. Beautiful people, beautiful family. And they honestly thought that they would never be able to sell their home, especially for the money that it was worth. And so we did sell their home and we sold it for a good profit for them. And then they got basically what they called their dream home after years of saving, after years of just being frugal and, raising their kids, him doing what he was passionate about, which was being a pastor, and getting them into this home. And I just like the feeling, you can just feel people's energy radiate off of
Mhm.
you. Even to this day, that was almost 4 years ago that transaction happened, and they're still a huge part of my life. Every time I talk to them, they just are so amazed by the home that they got, which the home that they got at 200,000 is now worth about nearly 375, 350. So that's also a benefit
Yeah.
to that skill. But I just, there's so many people don't always realize, because again, they hear things or they have their own limited beliefs about the home they're selling or what they can actually be qualified to buy. And that's just one of many stories. I could go on forever just about, and that's why I like to do what I like to do. Is you truly are in a people helping industry. And if you don't have that mindset going in of, I want to change people's lives, I want to get them from where they are to where they want to be, I want to build their wealth, it's a great industry to help people's dreams come true.
Yeah, absolutely. It's way more than just buying and selling homes. That's for sure.
I agree. And I think if, a lot of agents fail, and I think that their mindset is why they fail, because their mindset is, oh, I'm going to, list a bunch of homes and help a bunch of buyers and get a paycheck, and that's going to be my life. And that's not how this industry works. Like you have to care for these people. You have to know that this is their biggest financial decision and you're responsible for that. And you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing, and that you can't create that kind of care. Like you can't fake that kind of care. And so
Mhm.
it's a big part of this industry.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So if a brand new agent like just passed their test and they come to you and they're like, what's one thing I should do to get started? Like, I know nothing. All I know is I just passed my test, but I want to be a real estate agent. What's the first thing I should do?
Yeah. So the first thing you should do is whatever resources you have, find an agent that you trust that is a high professional, high producing agent in this industry. And once you find that person, you need to follow them around. And that's one thing a lot of people don't like to hear in this industry is you have to work for free for the first good portion of your business in order to become what you want to be. And not everyone wants to hear that. And so that's hard for people. But find an agent, follow them around, go to their listing appointments with them, go to their buyer consultation with them, allow them to three-way you in on the call when you're negotiating, when you're working through inspections, allow them to go to the inspections with you. That's going to be the biggest thing. Let them, come with you when they do an open house so you understand how to talk to people, how to greet people, how to work through scenarios. And I'm all for training classes. I'm all for, the everything that your brokerage will have you do. And that's great, but you don't know what it's like until you're in those scenarios and you have to handle objection handlers and you have to be in the heat of the moment. Like earlier, you're dealing with people's biggest financial decision. So when you're talking about a $12,000 repair, you need to know the right words to say and how to handle that conversation professionally. And that comes with nothing but experience. And the best way to experience that is being a part of that conversation and listening in to someone who's done this so many times before that it's like butter. So that's my advice. I'm a big fan of Brian Buffini. He's changed my life from, Austin Home Team changed my life. And then right next door to that is Brian Buffini. He honestly, he has awesome training programs. They're a little costly, but they're totally worth the investment. And they teach you, how to start from zero to being a producing agent. So if I were to recommend any type of course, it would be that. But ultimately, patience, knowing it's going to take a couple years to get to where you want to be, and then following someone around that you truly trust and putting yourself in that line of fire so you know how to handle those when you get out into the field. And honestly, what better way to learn than to trying it out on other people's clients instead of your own?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, you can read all the books you want, you can attend all the training classes you want, but until you actually get out and like do it, you're not going to be able to experience anything, right? You got to learn by doing that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. So it's awesome. Yeah. And I've actually done the Buffini class as well. It's like life changing. Like I feel like every agent should like at least attend it. Even if you don't follow it to a T, there's a ton of like great nuggets you can take from it and really like change your business. So
yeah. Oh, it's so life changing. And it's, I think one thing that agents don't understand is this is not just, it's not just, okay, this is what I do when I'm on the field. Becoming a realtor or a lender at a professional level, high producing level, it's a lifestyle change. So you have to not just change who you are in the office or who you are at work. It's a complete, everything about your life has to be altered. And I think that's one thing where people go wrong is they don't want to change. They want to change their circumstances, but they don't want to change themselves. And in this industry, you really can't have both. You have to be willing to change your entire lifestyle in order to be the best.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I have a few questions to finish up here. These are like fun, like just quick rapid fire questions. Okay.
Great.
All right. So I absolutely love Harry Potter and watch it way too much. So first question, what's your Harry Potter house?
Gryffindor.
Awesome. So I'm also a huge car fan, love cars, love going fast. So what's the fastest you've ever been in a car?
Oh, I think honestly, like 130 miles an hour. And that was in my high school days. So I probably shouldn't have been in that car and I probably shouldn't have been fast, but I think that was the max. So
were you driving or were you riding?
no, I was driving. I actually used to drive a Volkswagen Beetle, but my dad put an Audi engine in there. And I don't know why. He did it so when he had the car, he could have his fun, I believe. But it was a stick shift, which I really love. I actually drive on a stick, and I don't know why my dad put that trust in me, but I just wanted to see how it would go one day, and it went really fast, and I did not love it. But I think if I was in the passenger seat, it would have been a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, these next two are like this or that. So if you had to pick, would you rather attend a sporting event or a concert?
Oh, that's really hard. I don't know. I don't know. I love both. I haven't been to a concert since before COVID. So I think I'm getting that atmosphere, because there really is nothing like live music and being around a huge, thousands of people that have the same love for an artist or song and feeling that emotion in that moment. But then there's also no feeling like the World Series game or a AFC championship. So probably because I haven't been to a concert for so long, I'm leaning more towards a concert. But that's a tough question.
You'll have to go to Kenny Chesney, because that is a concert inside of a sporting event.
That's a great point. And actually, I think that George Strait is coming to Arrowhead this summer with Chris Stapleton. So, and I saw I saw the Rolling Stones at Arrowhead too, and that was life changing. So
that's really cool.
I guess I've been to both.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. If you're going on vacation, do you pick the mountains or the beach?
The beach, always.
Always Florida, or is there any other beach you'd prefer?
So I don't mind Florida. However, I'm very mosquito prone, and so it can be very unenjoyable for me.
Yep.
I love Southern California. The water's always a little bit chillier, but I love the beaches there. And then I actually just went to Mexico for the first time, so I really liked Cancun and the tropical vibe. So I'm a beach girl. I just could do it without the mosquitoes.
Yep. All right, and last one. If you could win an Olympic gold medal in any sport, what would it be?
Oh, well, I'm not quite that athletic, but I learn a new Olympic sport every time that I watch. Well, if I could choose, I would love to be a gymnast or a figure skater, and that's what I would want to win an Olympic medal in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. If any of our listeners want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to contact you? Can they contact you through Facebook, or what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can call me or text me on my cell phone. If not, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of that jazz, LinkedIn. So I have many platforms that I'm accessible at, and I welcome you to any of those.
Awesome. And we'll, in the information below on the podcast, we'll put all of your information as well, so any of our listeners can reach out to you.
Great.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.